A potential tipping point in the Strait of Hormuz. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent saying Iran has run out of room to store oil. It's going to have to stop production. Lucas Tomlinson has more details from Dubai. Hello, Lucas.
Good morning, Shannon. A year ago today, President Trump arrived here in the UAE with commerce on the agenda. And now, after a month-long blockade on Iran, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent says it's starting to feel the pain.
There have been no loadings in the past 3 days. We believe their storage is full. None of the ships are getting out. None are coming in, so they're not able to store oil on the water. So they're going to start shutting down.
Here's a satellite photo of Kharg Island, the hub responsible for 90% of Iran's oil exports before the war. The storage tanks are currently 85% full, according to experts, up 3% in recent days. Now, shipping guru Tanker Tracker says, quote, Kharg Island isn't maxed out of storage space. If it were, they would grab the nearest available tankers and top them up. Now, during the Beijing summit between President Trump and General Secretary Xi, about a dozen ships made it out of the Strait of Hormuz, including some from China. It also turned violent again. An Indian-flagged livestock vessel was sunk off the coast of Oman. It's not clear if there was any livestock aboard. Shannon, all 14 crew members were rescued. The attack on the Indian ship took place while India was hosting a BRICS economic summit. Another ship hijacked by Iranian commandos off the coast of UAE, last seen headed to Iranian waters. Here was Iran's foreign minister speaking in Delhi.
The Strait of Hormuz is open and all vessels can pass except the vessels belong to those countries who are in war with us, who are fighting with us.
Now, today, officials in OPEC-free UAE announced plans to build a second pipeline to bypass the Strait of Hormuz and boost export capacity, doubling it by next year. Shannon?
All right, Lucas Tomlinson, good to see you across the planet there. Just safe travels, my friend. Thank you.
Let's bring in former CIA Chief of Station Dan Hoffman. Dan, worrying about Iran's oil storage capacity might seem a bit esoteric to the majority of Americans. Talk to us about why it matters and why we should care.
Well, I think first and foremost, the IRGC cares a lot about the fact that Iran can't ship their oil and that they're reaching maximum capacity at their export terminals. That denies Iran the funds that they need to carry on their military aggression overseas, to pay the IRGC and their besieged paramilitary force to suppress the population. I think the key question for our intelligence community, and I can tell you this from my own experience at CIA, for Director Ratcliffe at CIA, is how does Iran see this challenge for them, that they can't export their oil? How does the IRGC leadership, General Vahidi, for example, does this mean that the United States has the leverage that we need to force Iran to negotiate in good faith? Those are some of the questions, I think, that President Trump will be asking the intelligence community.
What do you make of, coming out of the trip, President Trump says that that China told him behind the scenes in these closed-door meetings and the other officials there that they will commit to not sending any weapons to the regime in Iran. China has not said that publicly, which isn't surprising, but what do you make of those comments?
Well, Xi Jinping lies a lot, and he did that, you remember, back in 2015 in the Rose Garden when he told President Obama that China wouldn't militarize the South China Sea. So he'll say anything publicly. He might say that China's not providing Iran military equipment. I suppose technically that might be true. What they're giving Iran is lots of intelligence, including satellite overhead imagery that helps Iran's military in the war against the United States, as well as dual-use military equipment, engines that find their way into Iranian drones, and that enhances Iran's war efforts. So there's no question about that. Look, China is the leader of this century's axis of dictatorships. Russia, Iran, China, and North Korea all aligned against us, both in Ukraine and in the Middle East. So China would like to see the United States bogged down in the Middle East and in this war against Iran, but at the same time wants to portray an image to President Trump, especially during this summit, that China is interested in a productive relationship with the U.S. because China wants to extract as many concessions as they can from the U.S. side. And
And to
President
that-
Trump's a good negotiator, and he'll see through that.
To that point, Dan, here's President Trump talking to Sean about his broader goals for the war and why China shares his objective of never seeing Iran have a nuclear weapon.
We're helping you, and we're helping you in another way because I don't think China wants Iran to have a nuclear weapon either. I said, they're stone cold crazy. You don't need them having a nuclear weapon either.
You think he agreed?
Yeah,
That was the impression.
I don't think he wants them to have. No, he would like to see it end. But he's been good about it, you know. Hasn't done anything hostile.
What's your response?
Well, you look, China is closely allied with Iran. 90% of Iran's oil exports, back when they were exporting oil, went to China. And China has a long-standing relationship. They recently signed a strategic partnership agreement with Iran. And flowing from that is military assistance and intelligence support. That alliance will carry on. China would like to continue to do that, but not lose the relationships they have with the Gulf states, with whom they're trying to build closer economic ties. So I think Xi Jinping is trying to play it both ways. He knows that the Gulf states don't want Iran to have a nuclear weapon, and that call would certainly be true for the United States. It's why we have tried to induce Iran to negotiate in good faith. But at the same time, China will carry on this two-faced policy of assisting Iran at the same time.
All right, Dan Hoffman, President's on his way back from China right now. Thanks for jumping in and joining us with your analysis as he wraps up this trip.
Thanks,
Appreciate it.
Jillian.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.